has relationship building changed due to the instant gratification culture?
So there's this concept called strong ties and weak ties. Strong ties are the people whom we build relationships with on multiple dimensions. We connect on various things. We express our vulnerabilities to them. We feel validated by them, and that way intimacy builds up with them, and we become close to them. This happens over a period of time, and everybody needs at least a few strong ties in their lives in order to feel socially satisfied. Although, of course, different people have different needs around these things. The other thing is weak ties, and both of these have a role to play in our happiness and satisfaction. Weak ties are, of course, people who are acquaintances. You might see someone at the water cooler, or the shop you go to get supplies, and just people you come across whom you don't have a particularly close relationship with, but they're in your life landscape, so to speak. And the nature of the weak ties has significantly changed since this instant gratification culture came up, especially with technology and everything. The thing in today's world is that once you know someone, you never stop knowing them. 20 years ago, if you graduated from school, then you didn't stay in touch with most people you went to school with. Now you know when your second grade benchmate gets married or has a child, right? That was not a thing before. And so the nature of weak ties has changed in many ways in a positive way, because some of these ties, even if they're not close, just the longevity of it adds some emotional value to it. And I think that just having all of these peripheral contacts has enabled people to connect in various ways that they might not have been able to connect before. And it's been able to create a network of relationships and business opportunities, and just ways to do satisfying things in life that were not possible before, including finding communities of like-minded people that you would not otherwise find in your own geographic location.
You make very good points. I would also say that like at all times, like first impression was always a big thing, but then like people were like like were okay with like giving second chances all the time, because they also knew that first impression is also just like one impression. Whereas now you have so much more belief in yourself that the first impression actually makes a lot of sense. There was a reason the first impression was good or was bad, and like while we always used to judge, we never used to like give like trust our judgment that much as we do now with the instant gratification culture. And the other one is we don't meet people the same way either. Like earlier we used to not really be on our phones, so whenever like we are not doing a task actively, at that point we are either sort of like talking to people or we're just like zoning out. Whereas now we have the ability, what, I might not be talking to you, but like at least I have my phone with me, so I can be doing something at the same time. And we sometimes we, people check their emails and everything if like something like a meeting starts late, or like other things. Whereas like like some other ways is that like when meeting starts late, like we can still sort of like talk to people, like show people other things. And because you can gratify people through jokes or through actual videos or everything, and like show them through that. So like it has had some good and some bad with it. So yeah, it's a very interesting change to our culture.
Can we talk about romantic relationships and how instant gratification has changed that? Because essentially, I get the feeling that we've commodified people to an extent. We have, with the instant gratification of, now I don't want to, comment on people's preferences and how often and in how much time, or what kind of people that they want to engage with, but I have to note the change in how the whole like dating or finding a romantic partner ritual used to work before and how it does now, where There's this, I think it's called Tinder doom scrolling or something, where like it's like this phenomena where people will, they're not even really looking at who they're swiping on. They're just doing it. They're just, yeah, they're just swiping to see who will match back with them, so that they feel good about, hey, that I matched with somebody. I find that very, very interesting, and how I'm kind of very keen in observing how that's going to change how we perceive love and relationships, because just giving one person, building a connection with one person takes up so much of your time, so much of your energy, and there are so many like complex things that you have to work through. And I don't know if that's always possible if you come into things with the mindset of, oh, we didn't match on this one thing, okay, cool. I'm not talking about like healthy standards or boundaries, right? I'm talking about just small superficial things where you're like, oh, we didn't match, I deserve better. I'm gonna, okay, I can just do something else. So yeah, I feel like it's affected not just friends, but also one of the most uncertain parts of our life, as it's always been, which has been love. So I wonder what other people have to say about that.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Some people even think like dating is like the dating culture is dead. And the first thing I only said there was like, if you guys have watched How I Met Your Mother, Marshall, Ted, and forgot the girl, but like they it was Star Wars, a Star Trek, but I think it was Star Wars, and they hadn't watched it, and you're like, I haven't watched it. Is it even like why bother? And like I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm not a Star Wars fan, but like I was like, okay, I see where it's coming from. And one of the other things I would say is that with love languages, like when giving encouragement, that was something that like, that used to be something that once we learn it, it's pretty good. Whereas I do see a future where let's say you're really good at like praising people, but then at that point, yeah, he always does that. He always praises people. So like, it's not. It's like when somebody recommends movies all the time. There would be enough good movies and bad movies. So getting a recommendation from that person is not really a big thing. And I kind of feel like we are sort of going into this culture where even if you praise people enough or like do the other things, gifts or everything, at some point you would also be like, yeah, that's just something he does, and like, and instead of getting that high from it, you just be like, you just add it as an attribute to the person that, okay, yeah, he does that or she does that. Deepak.
Right. So the Tinder thing, what I feel is that there is a sense of diminishing returns after a point. Like the first time you get on the app and you get like 15 matches, feels like a great thing, right? Like you feel very validated. You think a lot of people like you, and that's really nice. And then after a period of time, because of the way the app itself commodifies these matches and connections, what happens is that you stop seeing them as individual humans with their own feelings and everything. And so if you have 47 matches, it just becomes 47 flavors of ice cream, all vanilla. There's no difference between all of these different people, and you don't, or at least in terms of how satisfying a conversation with them feels to you. And so what happens with a lot of people is that they don't even end up going on dates or meeting these people. There are just all these matches, and after a point they don't even feel motivated to respond to what some match of theirs is saying. And even when you do go meet these people, anybody who's been out there dating can tell you that most of the time dating sucks, right? I mean, it's not that they're bad people. It's just that it's very, very hard to find someone that you really connect with on a deep level. And so to go on a date takes a lot of effort. You have to make time for it, and then get ready and bring your best self and everything. So to do that week in and week out is something that after a point does get tiring, especially if you're not getting what you want out of it. And what you want out of it is probably a deep connection, which is not really going to come unless you're willing to put aside instant gratification, look beyond the most superficial things, and get to know the person at a much deeper level. This is something that a friend of mine once, he put it in a funny way. He said, you have to kiss 200 frogs before you find a princess. But I don't think it necessarily has to be that way. But the thing is, you don't know if it's a frog or a princess in your particular context for what you're looking for, unless you're willing to see past the most superficial things. And that requires you to not look for instant gratification. If you go out on your first date and think, if she doesn't like the same band that I like, then I'm not going to see her again. You're probably not going to get a second date. But that is something that I have friends who do that. And so it's that kind of thing that leads to a sense of diminishing returns. And you end up not making the kind of connections that you want. I'm willing to face pushback on this opinion. So
I don't have the pushback for your opinion. But you brought up an interesting point that I wanted to expand more on. I think with instant gratification and dating culture, like a lot of, it's just so many first dates, right? And then very few go to a second date or later and later and later. But I think even the idea of you'll find someone to be your lifelong partner or your current partner within one date is a result of instant gratification, because any relationship that you build with a person comes over time, right? Like you need to meet them a lot of times, you need to do random things with them a lot of times, and that's when you get to know, like, here are the things that we're similar about. I like this part of your personality. Instead of like a one-time, one-dimensional, hi, we ate dinner together, so I'm going to learn everything about you right now. That's not realistic. And odds of you finding a partner, like even if you did meet your perfect partner, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't identify them as such within the first date, right? So I think, like, when someone told me, like, every good relationship, it's like you both mold each other into the best people for each other, right? And that takes time. And like anyone can become your partner as long as like you both are willing to work on it and like become the right people for each other. And with instant gratification, you're not going to find a freshly made perfect partner, all the characteristics, one shot, boom, go. Like that's unrealistic. And I think that romantic relationships have been really affected by that, because love at first sight and like figuring out you like someone like first date is impossible.
You
I'm
make a very
shocked.
good point.
Just shocked. Are you telling me that Hollywood has been lying to us this whole time?
Everything about Hollywood is a lie, okay? The sounds that people make when they get hit in a fight are so exaggerated. The amount that people get to fly in Indian movies after being hit, also exaggerated, right?
You're saying the Power Rangers, all the crackers that burst, after a fight, all that is like not real.
I hate to break it to you, Tooth Fairy ain't real, movies ain't real. I'm so sorry, but you've been fed
Wow,
a
you
lie.
guys are really denting my worldview right now.
In Bahubali, Samana cannot float across an entire waterfall.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you'd like to see more videos on the topic, make sure to check out our playlist where we answer more questions. We'll see you next time.